All right, we are talking about the next chapter in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Sorcerer's Stone, whatever you want to call it, which is Diagon Alley, chapter 5. Which is one of my favorite chapters. I love this chapter for so many different reasons, but it's like his ushering into the wizarding world, I think. And then I just love how quaint and lovely Diagon Alley is. I would love to spend an entire month, year, life there. It seems so lovely. So when you guys were reading this chapter, what things did you guys notice? Anything that kind of like stood out to you?
I must say the first thing I noticed was how much it connects to the chapters we're going to read with the first time readers, because Gringotts and also the wands.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh.
And Hagrid mentions you'd be a fool to rob
Yeah.
Gringotts.
And then him reading the passage at the top of the bank as well. And then again reading it when he goes to rob it.
What is the thing at the top of the bank? Like what is it? Like
Warning.
greedy beware?
Yeah. It's a warning.
I want to find that. What does it actually say?
I don't have my book, so I can't. I had to listen to it, so I can't read it at the moment.
It says, "Enter, stranger, but take heed of what awaits the sin of greed. For those who take but do not earn must pay the most dearly in their turn. So if you seek beneath our floors a treasure that was never yours, thief, you have been warned, beware of finding more than treasure there."
Dang. That's so good.
Yeah, it's like up and front warning. Don't do it.
And I love that
I'm just
in the
wondering
next
what
few
kind
chapters.
of font size they used.
Yeah. It's probably really small. I love that in the next few chapters something gets stolen, and then it's like in the grand scheme of things, which is where we're coming in the first time readers to the chapters of them breaking into Gringotts, which is just so fantastic. It's so good.
It's gonna take
I'm
about
sure you've
2
got that
weeks.
written down in front of you, but in my head, you just know that off by heart off the top of your head. You're just ready to go at a moment's
Memorized
notice.
it.
The one thing that bothers me the most is Harry never questions the breakdown of galleons to sickles to canuts.
Just accepts it.
I didn't either. It doesn't bother me at all. It's just one of the quirkiness things in the wizarding world. Like, I don't care about it at all.
It's all messed up.
Yeah, I always thought that like like different numbers are like the numbers of perfection in different societies. I like that the wizarding one is just all random. Although I feel like it should be in multiples of 7. I feel like that would be maybe more appropriate. I don't know.
I kind of see it like, how different languages, a lot of different languages are quite similar in their structure. And then you've got other languages that are like almost totally different. And it's because, when that language was being formed, it wasn't integrated with other languages. Maybe because the wizarding world is so different to the Muggle world, their numbers, it's just, they would never even think to be like, oh yeah, 100, whatever, makes up this amount of whatever. I don't know. It's just so different that it just doesn't even faze them.
Speaking of languages, we know that most of the languages use a decimal with like base 10 or a duodecimal with base 12 numbers. But there are languages that use sort of base 27. Now, 29 doesn't make sense to me, but I know languages that use very weird bases. So I guess that makes sense to some extent.
It translates over into their mathematical system as well, yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to get in that little phrase on the Gringotts. I wonder if there's if people have like dissected that in any other way, because I was trying to think of it in like taking what's not yours, like not only Gringotts. Is that like a metaphor for any other part of the series, like Horcruxes or something like that, or like Hallows or something? I don't know. I don't think there necessarily is, but it's a weird one.
Thinking the same thing today, because Harry, like when he speaks to Griphook, when he devises the plan and he says like, do you believe me that I'm not going to take it for my own gain? And he says like, if there's anyone I would believe it's from you. So I was thinking that in that same sense when I was reading or like listening to that passage of the message that is on top of the bank, it sort of makes, I think it justifies it to Harry why he's doing it. So that he won't sort of be, it's for everyone's good, it's not for his own greed that he's doing it.
That's a great point, actually. Trying to find that. Enter stranger, but take heed of what awaits the sin of greed. For those who take but do not earn must pay dearly in their turn. So if you seek beneath our floors a treasure that was never yours, thief, you have been warned, beware of finding more than treasure there. And what does that truly mean? Like, if you're a goblin, what does it mean of finding more than treasure there? Is this talking about the enchantments that they put, like the dragon that they put in the thing? What do they mean where you'll find more than treasure there?
All right, I'm gonna go way out of left field on this.
Yeah.
And I think Dumbledore put that there as part of his big plan to like teach Harry a lesson.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
hey, don't be greedy, bitch.
Is that in any of the Super Carlin, Dumbledore's master plan?
No, it's not. Actually,
I mean, to be fair, Harry does do exactly what it says there to not do.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
in this book and every other book.
Pretty much every book, yeah. That's a weird one. I also love at the beginning when Hagrid's like, Gringotts is the safest place in the world for anything you want to keep safe, except maybe Hogwarts. I'm like, in these books, neither of those places seems very safe or secure. Maybe Gringotts a little bit more than Hogwarts, but I'm like, Hogwarts, I don't think is the safest and the most secure place in the wizarding world.
Well,
the definition of safety is very questionable.
Yeah.
Also, we
read it as objects. I know a lot of people read it as people's safety. But I always say, like, they've got magic, so people's safety is that's why they have the hospital wing as well. So,
yeah, as long as you're not dead, you're fine.
yeah, you're fine. There's patient for everything. It's fine.
I don't know. I feel like even when I think of, I don't know, I guess I'm not thinking of a ton of other like super safe places in the wizarding world, but I can't think of like too many others that are like super safe or super secure. So I don't know. That's a weird one.
I mean, the books are about danger and facing the danger, so
Yeah, for sure.
makes sense they won't visit any safe place.
Yeah.
I know. I was gonna say my initial thought was like, oh, like, the burrow is the safest place, but in the movies, the burrow is not the safest place.
I mean,
If they knew about the cave, they could have hidden it there.
I wonder if Dumbledore has other spots that he like hid stuff, or if Dumbledore had Horcruxes, where he would hide them, and if they'd be better than Voldemort's hiding spots.
Probably everything in his office. Like everything, there's a secret passageway.
Yeah.
Everything causes some passageway to open in his office. Probably.
Well, if Dumbledore had Horcruxes, he'd hide them in the Mirror of Erised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How would you retrieve them though? That's the thing. And that's even another thing when we talk about that chapter in the end. That's gonna be like,
you want to retrieve them, but not destroy them.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as with the Philosopher's Stone. We're fast forwarding to the end of the book now, but
yeah. Just as a quick excursus on that, because we'll talk about this at very like at the end. But where is the stone before Harry retrieves it? Is it in like some antechamber somewhere where it's like no human can touch it? Did Dumbledore put like an extendable charm somewhere? Like, where is the actual stone before Harry retrieves it in the mirror?
In the mirror dimension.
Yeah, the mirror dimension.
Yeah,
exactly.
it's in the
Yeah.
mirror dimension.
That's a weird one.
Yeah.
So, like, if Dumbledore hid any Horcruxes in the mirror, where would he be hiding them? Would he be hiding them like? Is it like in a vault in Gringotts, and then, well, it's not the stone, obviously, but is it like in a safe spot, and then he retrieves it, and it's just like magically like a port key almost?
No, it's not. When you hide something in the Mirror of Erised, it's not in a tangible dimension.
Dang.
The quantum realm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the
Yeah.
mirror dimension, the quantum realm. Yeah.
Just not carry it around in his beard. It's full of tricks.
yeah, yeah. He's pulling
Philosopher's
food out.
Stone,
One of Hagrid's pockets.
Resurrection Stone, Hagrid's wand.
Yeah.
yeah.
If Dumbledore were to make a Horcrux, do you think it would be a pair of woolly socks?
They would just be 7 woolly socks. They'd be all mismatching.
Also, if
Should make
if
it
you're
a Nokia
hiding,
phone, never be destroyed.
yeah, if you're hiding the Philosopher's Stone somewhere, why even give a way to retrieve it? Just keep it
yeah,
hidden.
right?
The place it's already at.
Yeah, seriously. That's a great point. And like I have to imagine there were I mean, again, he hid them in good places. Voldemort hid his Horcruxes in good places, but I have to imagine there were better hiding spots to hide some of them than like Bellatrix's vault or like just giving one to the Malfoys. I'm like, dude, that's all you had?
I
I
mean,
just thought, but oh, sorry. Go on.
So
No, go
sell
ahead.
the locket at a pawn shop.
Oh,
yeah. yeah.
I don't. I always thought it's just him being like, like a serial killer, where it's like you could easily get away with it, but like you get kind of cocky. You want to leave clues. You want to you want things to be sentimental. So like a serial killer will make every kill a thing, and then they'll leave traces. Not always because they want to be caught, but like for their own satisfaction or whatever. So I feel like Voldemort, while he could have just turned a random pebble in the middle of nowhere in Sweden, for example, he could have done that. Nobody would have ever found it, but that wouldn't have been personal to him, and he wouldn't have got the same satisfaction, I'd imagine.
He needs some
Yeah,
kind
he
of
has to
calling
have his
card.
trophies.
Yep.
I wonder if Voldemort was ever in Gringotts. Like, did he ever? Obviously, he didn't have a vault or anything to put in there, but was he ever in the bank?
Oh, that's a
Good question.
interesting
Was
question.
in the books, was he there? Because in the movies, there's that really chilling scene where he's like walking through the pools of blood when he slaughters everyone when he finds that they steal the.
In the books, it's in Malfoy Manor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's crazy.
So I wonder if he, in his life, if he's ever been to the bank.
That's a good question.
Well, no, because
Maybe.
he was an orphan, just sort of going off like essentially scholarship.
He had no reason,
Maybe
but
in
then
spirit form.
yeah, maybe.
Like with he helped Quirrell.
Nobody ever
to break
adopted
in,
him.
no?
That's a weird thing. Nobody ever adopted him.
Yeah, that's
mean-
a good point too. Like his spirit form, he was on the back of Quirrell's head, going in and stealing it. So
He wasn't possessed then. He only got possessed after he failed.
no, I think he got possessed
give
when he
it-
stole it. He got possessed. Quirrell got not at this moment. Was he possessed? But Quirrell was possessed when they stole the actual stone from the vault, or when they tried to break in and steal the stone.
Oh, okay.
No.
I don't
No, I
want
think
to. I
you're
don't want
right.
to say.
Wasn't he?
I don't want
No.
to say Quirrell was possessed because that takes a lot of the weight off of Quirrell.
So hold on, time out.
Quirrell
Was Quirrell?
Quirrell was joined with Voldemort. He's
He
not
wasn't
possessed.
he wasn't possessed by Voldemort then. He was possessed after he failed to steal the
Yeah, 'cause
stone
that's-
from the bank. Because he sees Harry earlier that
Oh,
same day.
and that's
he's
why he had to
not
keep.
possessed.
Yeah,
He
that's
shakes
right.
his hand.
That's why he had
Yeah.
to keep a closer eye on him. So that's why he like
Mm.
went into the back of his
And
head.
Voldemort was mad at him for failing, and that's why he
That's right.
joined
yeah.
him.
Yeah. He like punished him,
Yeah.
right?
Because I think by the time he was making Horcruxes and giving it to Bellatrix, I think he was already like, wanted man. So I don't think he ever physically in human form. I wonder if he ever went into the bank. So I think from outside it would have been like this part of the wizarding world that he couldn't control or couldn't be part of. So it makes sense for him to put Horcrux there.
Do you think that he he wouldn't have just given one to Bellatrix to say keep safe, right? He would have said put this in your vault. Like, what would his command to Bellatrix have been? I think it's probably put it in your vault, right?
Yeah.
I think that, and also
Well,
I think-
I don't think so because he gave
Yeah,
he
the
gave
mouth
the diary
voice.
to
Yeah.
Lucius.
Maybe
I think he
And,
gave it and said keep safe, but he didn't tell them definitely what it was.
yeah, for sure.
You know,
Yeah. Also, Malfoy didn't know it was it was a Horcrux. He thought it was just a cursed item, and which if it's found in, like, with Ginny, the Weasleys will be under suspicion.
Hmm.
by
Yeah,
then.
and
well, to
the
be
way
fair, I don't
everyone-
think J.K. knew it was a Horcrux yet either.
True.
Yeah, maybe. Do you think? I don't think Bellatrix knew that it was a Horcrux either. I think she knew that it was
No.
more
Yeah.
important, but I don't think she knew it was a Horcrux.
Yeah, I don't think anyone apart
Yeah.
from Voldemort, at least in his eyes, knew it was a Horcrux.
I don't think he would have ever told anybody that it was a horror because he
Mhm.
doesn't really trust anybody.
Hmm.
So why would he tell anyone?
So what
Well,
a
then how did Regulus figure it out?
through a house elf.
Yeah, based on creature's description.
Yeah, creature's description.
Okay.
Yeah, because I love that loophole. That's like, it's like the Death Star, like the thing the size of a Womp Rat and the Death Star. It's like he thinks these creatures are lesser than, and then all of a sudden that becomes his demise. Essentially, creature was the demise of Voldemort, which I love. I think that's great. But
Oh,
there's an interesting. I mean, the whole quarrel of when he gets possessed. So he's not possessed in this chapter. So in the Diagon Alley chapter, Harry meets Quirrell and he shakes his hand. But then it's explained that what is the actual explanation for why Voldemort can't touch him in this form? I mean, it's love,
because-
right?
Because of the protection on Harry, I think.
yeah.
But
In what
why?
form?
Why
Yes.
is he
That's
allowed
what
to?
happens at the end.
Spirity form.
Why is he allowed to touch him in a different
Well-
form?
Well, no, because he had Harry's blood in him. That's why he was able to touch him.
Yeah.
in the other
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay.
Doesn't have hands at the moment, so you can't touch him.
So if wait, time out. This is like
there's a whole moment where Voldemort's like, "I can touch you now" in the fourth book.
okay.
Yeah.
So if he didn't use his blood, so he was cursed either way. If he didn't use his blood, Harry would have died. But if he did
Yeah.
use his blood, he was able to touch Harry.
Yeah.
Dang. So it's like cursed if he does,
Yeah,
cursed if he
his
doesn't.
own. Yeah, his own sort of ego led to his downfall.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow.
This
Also-
entire book is Voldemort's hubris.
Hmm.
That's it.
Mhm.
So, like,
So what I also was wondering, speaking of safety and Horcruxes, because I'm also currently in book 3, and the Fidelius charm came up. It says that it's a concealment of a secret inside a single living soul. So I was wondering, can you also conceal the secret inside a Horcrux? And then nobody could ever get the secret out, right? That'll be the most safest, whatever approach, I guess.
You think it needs to be a complete soul?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a question.
We are diving into ancient magic now.
we're
Jen would
doing
be
like
proud.
book 7 conversations
I know.
now, and we're still in book 1.
But that is what I love about this series. And I was even telling
Connected.
Danny and Jen that off stream yesterday. I was like, guys, when you guys reread this, like it's crazy how much she does pack into the first few chapters of this book with stuff that's in the end game. And some of it she obviously doesn't know that she's like heading there, but some of it I think she nails. That's
Oh, her
But you-
predictions are so
It
on
take-
point.
I know. It's wild.
It takes like half the book to get to Hogwarts.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is crazy because like I'm just all about audiobooks, but
I-
for these I've been looking at the actual books. Well, not the actual books. I've got the Jim K picture books, and I was looking at it and I was like, I mean, we're only a few chapters in, and we're like, well on our way to the middle of the book.
Yeah.
It is like
Yeah.
I'd never really thought about. I always thought, oh well, before he gets to Hogwarts, that's the first bit of the book, and then there's the middle and there's the end. But really, it's like almost the middle of the book by the time he gets to Hogwarts.
Mm.
Yeah, this book is also one of the heavily edited ones out of all the 7.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
Yeah, this is when she had to listen to editors. After this one, when it got like millions of buys, she's like, I don't care what you guys say. I'm gonna do whatever I want. I'm like, all right, fine.
Which is a shame because I would love if the first book was like almost as long as like Goblet
know.
of Fire, like just full of just Harry first
I know.
experiencing the world. That would be so
Yeah.
good.
I know. Agreed.
yeah, I would like to see the manuscripts,
Yeah.
the early manuscripts.
I actually like how short it is and how long it takes to get to Hogwarts because it's bringing us into the world as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It does a good job of that. It is pretty remarkable how you don't know anything about like any of this kind of stuff. And within this chapter, like you're at the same point as Harry. You're like discovering the world for yourself, like falling in love with certain things. Even like just like fun questions in all these chapters. Like when he goes through his book list, you're like, which one would I want to read the most? When you're a kid and you're reading through this stuff, you're like on this journey with Harry. And I feel like not a ton of authors do that really well. I think she nails it here.
I was actually thinking that I was going to ask you all what, like, if you didn't know anything about Harry Potter or the Wizarding World and you looked at that book list with no other knowledge, which book would you be the most excited to get if you were Harry?
Can you read them again? Because I had to listen to the book. I don't have my copy of my book.
It is the
I'll,
Standard Book of Spells,
Give it to a friend.
History of Magic, Magical Theory, Beginner's Guide to Transfiguration, 1,000 Magical Herbs and Fungi, Magical Giraffes and Potions, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and The Dark Forces, A Guide to Self-Protection.
Oh, History of Magic.
Yeah, be so cool.
I'll go for Magical Theory.
The theory guy.
I'd go for the Dark Forces and How to Protect Them.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Am I boring? I just thought the Standard Book of Spells because, like, if you're when I was 11, I was not interested in history or theory, and then the other ones I feel like I wouldn't know enough about. But Standard Book of Spells, in my head, I'd be like, okay, this is exciting. We can like really start, and I could just like learn. I'd just be excited to learn spells.
Yeah, give me the basics.
I definitely wouldn't want to learn
Well,
history or the Dark Forces. I think that's scary.
I was bullied as a kid, so I just want to protect myself. Like it's not.
Yeah. I feel like all of them would be fun. I'd want all of them. I know it's an easy answer, but like if I had this, I mean, like it's kind of like that thing when you were getting a bunch of books that you had when you were a kid in like different classes. I always like thumb through them. They're always interesting. But for something that's completely new to you, I feel like Harry would bring these books home and just like, I'm surprised that he's not like Hermione where he hasn't like memorized every single part of these books yet.
Yeah.
The only time Harry ever read the History of Magic is when he picked Hedwig's name, and that's
it. Yeah.
I wonder
Well,
if
didn't
Hedwig
they-
had an History of Magic.
Didn't they lock a lot of his magic stuff away until he was going to go?
No,
I think
that-
the
not in
first
this
books,
book.
no.
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 I
What did you
actually,
say, Cecilia?
Yeah, I wonder what Hedwig did in the History of Magic.
yeah, right.
Oh,
It's a great
yeah.
question.
I wonder if he just skimmed it and completely missed the context, and Hedwig was just some awful person
Yeah.
from magical history.
Hedwig was really the first
Like-
person that made a Horcrux, and
He's-
no one knows. And
Yeah,
He was
some
just flipping through
goblin.
pages, saw
serial
it, and was
killer.
like, I like that name.
yeah.
And then no one wants to confront Harry because it's Harry Potter, and they're like, we can't tell him that Hedwig is an evil overlord.
Yeah.
I'm also surprised that they have Fantastic Beasts as one of the books. Like
Mhm.
they don't have Care of Magical Creatures yet. So
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
which class is teaching it?
That's true, actually.
Well, so
Defense against the
as
dark
a
arts,
first
I'd
year,
imagine.
Could be.
yeah, true.
as a first
It's a
year,
shame we
especially if
never
you're
get
Muggle born,
where-
you should know about some of the magical animals that you might interact with.
Hmm.
So I think that's the point of that.
Yeah.
Also, the book doesn't go much in depth, so makes sense.
Hedwig is a German feminine name from the Old High German Hadwig. It is a Germanic name consisting of the element battle and combat and to fight or duel. Interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, some of these books are weird. I love Fantastic Beasts. Fantastic Beasts is one of my favorite books. Just like sometimes I'll just like thumb through it or like flip through it, because it's such a fascinating book. All the little things he has, which is I think we were talking about this a little bit even on our Discord, but the idea of electronics and why electronics don't work at Hogwarts is I always forget about this one, but didn't NEWT discover some kind of like small little like almost not a microscopic insect, but like an invisible insect that like hovers around electronic devices and causes them all problems? Not really like a Luna Lovegood kind of thing, but I think NEWT actually, I forgot what they're called, but I think that's the thing that disrupts the signal in Hogwarts or something like that. I gotta actually look that up. I gotta do some research on that.
In that case, maybe Apple, the Muggle company, is in cahoots with the Wizarding World. And whenever they've got a new iPhone coming out, the Wizarding World just sends them some of these to hack all of the old iPhones, so we all have to buy new ones. Now,
It's a brilliant strategy.
if any corporation is going to be in cahoots with the Wizarding World,
Yeah.
it would be Apple.
Yeah.
Or you just buy Android.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
don't
I want to
get my
know.
phone hacked by magical creatures.
I want to know how Hagrid got to the island, where because he
Yeah.
said he flew there, but how?
I like
Yeah,
that
I
he
they
was
flew
wondering
there
if
and then
Thestral.
he
Yeah, I
left
was
with
thinking
the
that the same.
boat.
Yeah, he left with
He
the
left
boat,
with
which is the funniest part. Because
Yeah.
Howard the Dursley is getting off.
The boat went
Best
back.
friend.
That's my on its own.
Maybe he sends it
Yeah,
back.
because I
with his
I
wand.
wonder if Thestrals could carry him.
Hagrid.
Because we
Like
know
on their
brooms
back,
can't.
or
Yeah.
maybe.
Mm.
Do any of you have the Jim K illustrated book?
Yeah.
Mhm. I don't think it illustrates that
Right.
though.
I don't.
No, but could I just this? I don't know if this is like copyright. This is my favorite picture.
Yeah, it's a
yeah.
great
Oh,
one.
yeah,
Look at how
With his
That
umbrella,
boat is
it's
much
so
smaller
cute.
than I thought.
It's just a wand. It's just a transfigured wand.
Yeah.
I know, so good. Yeah, I wish they had a picture of him flying though, because that would be interesting.
Mm.
Oh, you said transfigured wand. I always imagined that the umbrella was built around the wand.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think too. I posed that question on I think the main Harry Potter Reddit, and someone said transfigured. So I was like, oh, I've actually never thought about that. But I kind of think it was built around it, like the wand is inside it.
I mean, yeah. His wand is already 16 inches long, so that's
Yeah.
sort of good enough length for building an umbrella around.
Hagrid's got great
Yeah,
length.
Well, I don't know. I have a small umbrella. Maybe I should measure that. Check.
I also love how many things Hagrid keeps in his pockets. I feel like he's like, just got a vest or like a huge jacket with all these little pockets in it. I'd be curious to see what he has in all his pockets. Got like dormice.
Yeah, I
in
love pockets.
This is another question that I have in this chapter, and I mean, this is explained, but this is, I've always had the question of, does Draco have the wrong wand here?
I don't think so.
Because his mom's picking it up, right? Is his mom just picking it up? Did he get fitted for a wand? Why wouldn't he have just
looking? I think it says looking.
Oh,
at
so was
wands.
he okay? So is he going after?
Mm.
Or maybe Narcissa needs a wand for some other reason, and she's looking for herself. I don't know.
Probably. I think Narcissa was just like looking at wands and seeing what she would prefer Draco to have. But then he goes, after he's fitted for his robes, he goes and actually gets the wand that chooses him.
Do you think there's any
Also,
any...
not everyone understands that one chooses a wizard.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Yeah.
Do you think there's anything nefarious going on? Are the Malfoys looking to threaten Ollivander with something? Like, is that what Narcissa just told Draco? She's like, Draco, go, because if you're a parent, you're like, go get fitted for your clothes. I'm gonna go check out wands and Ollivander's. Really, she's going to do something else. Maybe just not at Ollivander's. Maybe she's doing something else in like Nocturne Alley or something like that. Or maybe she is in Ollivander's threatening Ollivander with something. Like maybe they actually know about the Deathly Hallows in some way. Building wild headcanons off of this stuff, but because that's, as a parent, that's like what you say when you want to get your kids, when you want to go do something and you just want to get your kids to like just chill for a little bit.
Yeah, maybe
evil
she went into
wizards have-
Ollivander's and was like, "Hey, give my kid a good wand."
Yeah, for real. Yeah, threatening him. Yeah.
Or she went to Nocturne Alley to do a little nefarious business.
I was to say maybe like evil wizards have burner wands, like dealers have burner phones.
Yeah.
Narcissa burner wands.
That's actually brilliant.
Can't
Yeah.
be traced.
How many people do you think knew about the dual cores? Like the two phoenix feathers? I can't imagine a ton, right?
Yeah, I would say just Ollivander and Dumbledore at some point.
Yeah.
So do you think Voldemort didn't even know about it?
No.
Voldemort, I think, got to know about it after the duel in the graveyard. And
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because he said he tortured. I was busy reading or listening to Deathly Hallows today, and he said after torturing Ollivander, that's when he told him about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was thinking maybe like that got passed down to the Malfoys, and the Malfoys are in Ollivander's being like, give Draco the other half of Voldemort's wand, or else we're gonna kill you, And then Harry just got there first.
I was thinking while reading or listening today that this is one of the few times we see the real Draco, because he doesn't know who Harry is at this moment. Because I think the other times it's more of a show for Harry. So this is the times we see him, who he really is, and then also at the top of the tower. And then also like sometimes when Harry goes into Voldemort's mind and Draco is there. So I think the first time we meet Draco being the actual real Draco is quite interesting as well.
Yeah.
Also because
I saw a thing earlier today. The only reason why Draco is so much of a jerk is because when he meets Harry to like befriend him and stuff, when he actually knows who Harry is, Ron just laughs at his name. And so Draco just becomes a jerk after that.
Yeah. The whole thing is because he just was mad that they made fun of his name.
Yeah.
I just wondered why, because we know that Harry has the clothes of Dudley, right? He looks very baggy, poor, and despite all of that, I think Malfoy kind of ignored that and just wanted to make a friend, but just didn't manage because how he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Do you think that Malfoy actually has any friends? Like, does he view
No.
Crabbe and
No, he
Goyle
has
as friends? Yeah.
I doubt it. They're
Just minions.
Orders.
It's sad though, because he seems different from Voldemort in that he seems like he wants friends, but is incapable of getting them. And Voldemort seems like he doesn't want friends and is also incapable of getting them as well. Or maybe he is capable of getting them. It's like almost the reverse of Draco. Voldemort has the ability, because he's so charming, to gain any friend that he wants, but doesn't want them. And Draco wants friends, but he can't get them because of his personality.
Well,
I mean, it's all
Yeah.
the how he's nurtured. Like he
Yeah.
is grown up to believe that he's better than others.
Yeah.
So no one can measure up to his standards of friendship that he puts
Yeah.
on.
No one likes the rich
Yeah,
snobby
He
kids
must
anyway.
care. He obviously
Draco.
cares about his peers to an extent because, where in Half-Blood Prince, when they bring Grey back, and Dumbledore says, "Oh, it's weird, Draco, that you'd be happy with Greyback coming to a place where all your friends are," and then Draco seems a bit concerned at that point. So
Mm.
he obviously cares enough about his peers, like more so obviously than Voldemort, which obviously goes without saying.
Mm.
So I guess maybe he does have friends, but probably not as close and chummy as the Golden Trio or
Yeah.
other people.
And he knew Crab and Goyle
Draco-
from before school, so
Yeah,
because
that's
their
true.
parents were Death Eaters, so I mean, he knew them since they probably were toddlers together.
Yeah.
So
It's like you were Death Eater daycare center.
Yeah.
All the Death Eaters kids just gonna.
play with dog
Dra-
objects as rattles.
Draco reminds me of a friend that I went to school with, who had like a pretty rich family, and he sort of viewed himself above others a little bit,
Mm.
and a lot of the people that were in his quote unquote friend group were just there because of the status
Yeah.
that I gave them. And yeah, so I don't think Draco has like true friends, but he has semi friends that just want to be around him
Hmm.
for the status.
Yeah, it's almost like none of them actually want to be friends with each other. Like Crab and Goyle seem like they're friends, but it's like they don't really want to be friends with him, but they're like almost forced to because of their families.
Yeah.
No, but also he seemed really upset when who died in the room of requirement with the fire? Which one? Crab or Goyle? I can't
Crab.
remember.
Goyle,
Crab.
I
Yeah,
think.
I mean
One
he
of those.
seemed upset with that as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
So
we obviously know that Draco has a heart,
Mm.
in some way. I just feel like a lot of it is to do with his upbringing. He just doesn't really know
Yeah.
how to, I don't know, act like a decent human being.
Mm.
But I think he's definitely capable of it.
mm.
And he tried to, and then Ron made fun of his name.
I do love to when Harry and Draco are meeting, like one of the first things that like almost the indications of both their characters you see is Draco asks where his parents are, and Harry just says flat out, "My parents are dead." And like the conversation seems to just die out. Like Draco doesn't say like anything else. It's like a very true to childhood conversation, to be honest. I feel like, because like if like a kid says to another kid like, my parents are dead, sometimes they say that blunt and the other kid just like, it's like, oh, okay, cool, let's move on to the next thing. It's not like you're not like being sympathetic with the person or anything like that. It's not like, oh, tell me about it, like, I'm so sorry, that stinks. It's like a little less than that. So I don't know.
I mean, kids don't have the emotional maturity of asking those
Yeah,
questions.
for
I
sure.
guess.
I don't know if I would say that's emotional maturity though. I think that's maybe that is emotional maturity, but I
think
find
that's
that more
just
pleasant. I like if someone says something super blunt to me, or if like I have something that I just to say something that's like super blunt to the person. Sometimes I'm not looking for sympathy. Sometimes it's just like nice when a person goes, "Oh, okay," and then we just like carry on with the
100%.
conversation.
Yeah.
That's way better
Yeah.
because, like, especially if it's somebody you've just met, and if you say something in passing, and then they go, "Oh, I'm so sorry," but and I'm like, "I don't know you." Like,
Yeah,
I
right?
said something because it's related to the conversation.
Yeah.
Now let's move on because
Yeah.
there's nothing more awkward. Like, and Harry would have been really overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
Not to defend Draco, but I think within that conversation, him sort of quickly moving on from the fact that Harry's
Yeah.
parents are dead is
Yeah.
the least problematic thing about that conversation.
I
Yeah,
mean, even Harry, it mentions that Harry doesn't want to continue that topic, so he just flat out says they're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also, it's
I
just
didn't. I had a friend growing up. His mom died shortly after he was born, and I never asked him about it until we were friends for like 10 years.
Mm.
Like, it's not. I don't know. It's not an easy subject to sort of get into.
Yeah, for sure.
And I met him when I was like 5. So,
It is. Yeah, it is.
I
It
think
is a
it also because Harry's first thought about Draco is he reminds him of Dudley. So I don't think even if Draco asked, he would have given more information. Because I think his immediate was like, I don't like you.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well-
I feel like Draco at that point could have liked Harry, but Harry just was not feeding into Draco's bullshit. Like,
Mm.
you know, when Draco had a go at Hagrid, immediately Harry was like, "This is not somebody that I want to be
Yes,
friends
yeah.
with."
yeah.
Which is really good for Harry, because obviously in that moment he's probably desperate to make a friend, you know, make his first friend, especially being aware that it's uncommon for him to not know about the Wizarding World and about Hogwarts and everything. So if I was Harry at that point, I would be nervous that I'm going into a school where I've got no friends, and you'd be quite desperate to make friends with somebody. So it is quite admirable that Harry didn't just sort of listen and take on everything that Draco was saying.
Well, Harry took in quite a bit because he also asked Hagrid later, like, which house is the best? You know?
Yeah, well, yeah, he obviously listened to what Draco was saying, but he didn't then immediately go, "Oh, this is my new friend, and he says that Hufflepuffs are crap, so I'm just gonna be like that now."
Imagine
it
being
is,
in a
especially
Hufflepuff. I
that
think
age,
I'd
it's so
leave.
easy. I'd leave. No. But then he's smart enough to go, "Okay, well, Hagrid seems like a nice guy, so I'll ask him what his opinions are."
Mm.
Which at 11 I think is pretty impressive, because, you know, you will just take on what your peers are saying to a certain extent.
No, that's
If
true.
if you take out the context, Draco saying if he gets Hufflepuff, he'll leave, and Hagrid saying and there was never a witch or wizard that went bad that wasn't in Slytherin. They are equal statements if you take out the context completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you guys have seen Dumbledore's Big Plan by the Super Carlin brothers, but it's that might have been on purpose.
Yeah.
Everything is on purpose.
Yeah.
By the way, John, a good video idea. A review of Dumbledore's Big Plan by Super Carlin brothers.
Hey, yeah.
Might be a
Read it. Yeah, watching it for the first time and giving a reaction. Yeah, it is it's funny that I don't think Harry has ever had someone that he could trust in his entire life, and he wasn't really affected
Especially
by peer
not an
pressure.
adult.
Yeah, for sure. And he especially wasn't. I don't think he was that affected by peer pressure because he didn't have any friends, and because like he was just bullied. And then he finally finds this one person, Hagrid, pretty much immediately trusts him, and then this other kid says like Hufflepuff sucks, and then he goes to Hagrid, yeah, which is an interesting thing. Like Harry is kind of testing wizarding opinions based on what his litmus test is right now, or his baseline, which is Hagrid. But Hagrid's not the best baseline, to be completely honest. I mean, like even in like the last book, he's having support. I support Harry Potter parties. You know, he's a little biased. That's what we love him for. But yeah. What else did you guys see in this chapter? Anything else that like stuck out to you?
Yeah. So I found it interesting, a few descriptions. So, for example, when Harry goes into Ollivander's, the description says the very dust and silence in there seem to tingle with some secret magic, and it kind of reminded me of, like, I don't know if it is meant to be like a nod to the meta magic, let's call it, that Dumbledore does in the cave, for example, the things that he can sense, that because of the many wands in that shop, that you can just sense some sort of magic vibrating in the sphere. It
Oh,
would
I
be-
love that sentence. It's so
Oh.
cool.
Yeah.
Mm.
And what I also found interesting this time around, Ollivander says to Hagrid that his wand that was a good wand. So I was wondering, like, he obviously has some way of reviewing the wands that he probably made, and he probably also sold bad ones, and I don't know, like ones that he thinks are less good or have a lower quality, and yeah, how those he yeah, how do you sell that? Like,
I mean, from what I understand of wand
I-
lore, most of the wands are between 9 to I think 14 inches or 12 inches, 8 to 12 inches, something like that. And any one that is longer than that or shorter than that are they exist, but they are not that good, or either they are suitable for person of similar stature, be it physically or in their sort of thoughts and their views. So, for example, Umbridge's wand is only 6 inches. It's one of the smallest wand we see in the entire
Typical.
Harry Potter universe, which greatly exaggerates her small mindset. Explains everything about her. And Hagrid's wand is the longest, but that may be because of his stature, physical stature. But yeah,
so do you think then that the assessment of the quality of the wand he does based on the relative nature to the wand holder?
yeah, because he measured Harry. He started measuring Harry from like his entire arm length and stuff like that, and then he started with sort of wands like 7 inches, 6 inch, and 9 inches, and then he went up to the 11-inch wand that Harry gets. So he thought that Harry would have a shorter wand, but Harry doesn't.
I mean, obviously that's for like saying that wand suits that wizard well, but I was just surprised to hear him saying like kind of objectively saying that was a good wand about Hagrid's wand. So I was like, is there like an objective like measurement for him what a good one or a bad one is?
Maybe it was sad because it had to be broken. Like that was a good wand. Like shame, now it's broken. Oh, he thinks.
Yeah,
No.
Maybe
it
just
could also be
good
the.
ones. Oh, sorry, Nemo.
No, I was just saying that it could also be the combination of the wood or the core that explains sort of how the wand would function.
I also don't think that I don't think there's any bad wands. There are wands that are better at certain things. Because keep in mind that his family's been running this shop since 1702. So he grew up.
Wait, where'd you come up with
learning
that?
wand lore
1702 AD or BC? Wasn't it
It's
Ollivanders find
3
makers of
AD.
wands in
He's
three something
38
BC?
BC or yeah, 300 something BC or something.
Yeah. Forever. Ollivander must have more information on the wizards in the UK and Ireland than literally anybody else. Like, what? Because he not only knows their heights and measurements for some reason, he also knows like what they're capable of. Like what somebody's wand is really determines kind of what kind of wizard they are, what kind of wizard they could possibly be. Like, I'd say Ollivander is on par with the Sorting Hat as being able to determine what a wizard is going to be like. So I'm surprised it took Voldemort and the Death Eaters that long to kidnap him, because I just feel like, yeah, he just has so much knowledge, and also his memory is so
there
good
is
because he remembers.
there is another wand shop in Diagon Alley that some people go to.
Really?
I think it's in the movies. I don't think it's in anywhere else.
It's I forget what it's called because it's only mentioned
Yeah.
like
You'd have to be
Um,
some loser to go to that one shop. Could you imagine going to school and being like, "Oh yeah, my church at Lavanders." You went, "Oh, I went to Bertie's ones." Everyone would be like, "What?" You'd be
Happy.
bullied. You'd be absolutely bullied, and rightfully so. Who's not going to Ollivanders?
I went to
It was
Susan's
cheaper.
wine shop. She was great.
Uh,
My mum made me this one. Yeah. But yeah, I'd say he does not.
Karen.
And
Her name
he
is
says that
Karen.
he remembers every
Wand
entire
lore is
series.
one of the most interesting things to me in the entire series. I think it's so fascinating. The idea that Wand chooses the wizard. I remember reading through the series, just wanting to get more like information and tidbits on Wand lore and like what Ollivander was doing. But that's an interesting theory. I've never thought about that. That Ollivander is essentially like encyclopedic knowledge of everyone in the wizarding world. I wonder how good of records he keeps, or if he like has a like a pensive that he like every person that he sorts, he goes into his back office and takes that memory and then puts it into his little pensive. Like I'd be
well,
He says he
I
remembers
just think he's
every
so
wand he's
devoted to
ever
wand
sold.
lore that he
Yeah.
just remembers all of it.
yeah, for sure.
Like, that's his life.
Guy's got a great memory.
Because he was
he is a
immediately
Ravenclaw, so
he was immediately like Lily's wand was good at spells, no? And then
yeah.
James's wand is good at transfiguration, so
Yeah.
he knows
I mean,
all
it
that.
explains a lot about who James is, because he ends up doing one of the best transfiguration magic in turning into an animagus. So
Oh yeah, true. Oh.
When it comes to picking your electives and whatever year, I'd be going back to Ollivander being like, right, what am I good at?
Yeah,
Like, what am
for
I
real.
potentially going to be good at? I can't make these choices because I'm only literally a teenager. Please help me.
But it's interesting though, because that idea is set up in this book. Like Ollivander, his idea, the wand chooses the wizard. It's so weird in a book that is all about the choices that you make, that everything seems so set and predetermined in the beginning of the book, but none of that really is set and predetermined. Like even the whole thing with Harry and the prophecy, he's like, the prophecy didn't change anything, Harry. You'd still want to like go after this guy even if the prophecy didn't exist. And I just think every series that talks about determinism has this to some extent, like the battle between it. But I find it so fascinating in this specific series how really one of the cruxes of the series is about the choices that we make, but how everything that is done up until this point, like Harry doesn't have a ton of choice in. Like he doesn't really have a choice over his wand. The wand chooses him. Same, it's different with the Sorting Hat, but everyone else in the Sorting Hat, it seems to be like the hat chooses for you based on like who you are for sure. But it's interesting that Harry's able to choose kind of what house he wants to go in. But yeah, I've always found that fascinating in this series.
I wonder
Yeah,
if the
that's
wands
cool.
are only good at the main subjects. Like they specifically made for like this one is good at transfiguration, this one is good at spells, this one is good at whatever. And then where you can actually choose, it depends on the person, like the subjects later on.
I do know if you go on and check out like your wands on Wizarding World, it's like different woods give you different good things. Like certain kinds of wood are better at certain things, and then that match with the core, match with the length. It all contributes. It's like your power points in every which direction. So it's definitely a combination of a bunch of different things.
Yeah, but I wonder if it's only the subjects, because the subjects that they all have to take in the beginning, and then after that, when they actually get to choose the subjects, it's like it's anyone's game, Doesn't depend on the wand.
Yeah.
If
So
you know.
I
Does
looked
make
it up,
sense.
and Grigorovich actually had a secondary store in London.
A rival store. Wow.
Not necessarily in Gringotts, but sorry, not necessarily in Diagon Alley, but
In London somewhere.
yeah, there was another place to get a wand.
Do you think that Grigorovich only used 3 wand cores? Did he experiment with anything else that we know of? Because is Crumb's Dragonheart string?
I don't remember.
I
I
don't
don't remember off the
remember.
top
I
of
don't
my head,
remember.
to
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Let me find out.
I think it was Dragon Heartstring. But floors, like the idea that some French wand maker is out there, like just throwing Vila hair in there is bizarre to me.
Maybe wand makers from different countries use things that are sort of localized to their
Yeah.
country, like their local ingredients, so to speak. Maybe if
Yeah.
things naturally grow in one country, then in that country the magic is more powerful.
Yeah.
I don't
Also,
know.
why isn't thestral hair used as a core more often?
Yeah. Wait, more
Hmm.
often? Is it ever used?
It's an elder wand.
Yeah, it's in the old.
Oh, dang.
Maybe it's because nobody can see them to catch them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's the superstitions that we hear about.
Mm.
Yes.
Like
I think so.
elder, like Ron says that elder wands make bad, like bring you ill fortune.
Yeah, and also
Yeah.
Thestrals are supposed to be super
Yeah.
unlucky based on what Padma, I think, and
Mm.
Lavender say.
That's an interesting one, though. I would love to get Ollivander's take on some of like the superstitions, like Wand of Elder Never Prosper, because he believes in the Deathly Hallows. So I'm curious what he would say about something like that.
No, he
I
doesn't know
find
that.
He
wizards
doesn't know.
Yeah.
I find it weird that like wizards, not weird, but like interesting that wizards have superstitions, because you just sort of expect that wizards just know everything that's going on.
Mm.
But the fact that there's a superstition that, you know, Thestrals bring bad luck, when, well, I mean, they don't, it's just because of how they're associated.
Mm.
And it's just kind of strange to me that wizards do have these superstitions when, you know, these creatures aren't mythical to them, they're real, they can study them.
Mm.
It will be interesting to know if there is a bad luck potion.
Mm.
There
There's a
might
good
be,
the
yeah.
one.
opposite of Felix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should imagine.
Who would take that?
Whatever.
Or Neville's
I mean, it's
probably
for
been
the
drinking it
animes.
from
Yeah.
the get-go.
Talented at
Someone's been
birth.
spiking Neville with bad luck potion from the start.
Yeah, just grandma. It comes with every care package. Just put this on your food.
Munchausen by proxy.
You guys have anything else in this chapter before we move on to the next one?
Oh.
This is only something I remembered. I think I remembered before somebody was saying that in the US version, instead of saying the barman looked like a gummy walnut, you guys just have toothless walnut.
Yeah, I think it's a toothless walnut. I've never heard of a gummy walnut.
I don't remember where I'd heard that before, but as I was listening to the chapters, I just remembered.
I must say that's the best description of someone. Like I can immediately see that person in my imagination. Gummy walnut.
Gummy walnut.
I just have one question regarding the twin cores or the two wands. Do we know why they chose Harry and Voldemort respectively?
Yeah, it's a great
Like,
question.
I don't know. I don't think it's about the
Oh.
Horcrux inside Harry, because even after that one is dead, so at the end of the Deathly Hallows, he still feels like the wand, the same wand before. Like, so when he repairs it, it feels warm to his touch and like as if he got his friend back. So I don't think it's necessarily related to the soul of Voldemort being inside Harry.
Yeah. I think it's entirely like deterministic, like things that are going to happen are going to happen. And
So is there an
so
element in
Voldemort
divination
gets that.
in these cores or something?
Well,
I mean, I would
it's
say
even
so, yeah.
established. It's even established in the series. Even if you travel back in time, the things that happened are going to happen.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah.
Like you can't really change anything.
I'd argue that it's not that way with time travel.
Well,
Just because when other people in the stories, like the people that Hermione learns about, they travel back in time, they did change things, and that was a problem, which is why the Ministry decided that you can't change things.
Yeah,
So
they
you're able
decided a
to.
time limit that you can't go further than this.
Yeah,
Well,
like the events
okay,
of the
this-
third book, they happen the way they happen because Hermione says that that's like kind of the rules, right? Like they made it happen because that's how they decided to time travel. But it didn't have
Yeah,
to
but
be
if
that way.
but if they never traveled back in time, then those things wouldn't have happened. This is a book
But that
3
was the
discussion.
conscious-
We're still in book 1.
Yeah, so basically wands are the best form of divination.
For real.
They knew about the prophecy before the prophecy was made.
Or maybe the
Yeah.
prophecy took into the account the whole wand
Or that.
brothers.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe because Voldemort got that wand,
Yeah, that
then
could
that
be it.
made the prophecy.
Mhm.
I would also love if somehow we would find out, because Ollivander says Voldemort did terrible but great things with that wand. Like, what exactly is that referring to? Because he doesn't obviously know about the Horcruxes and stuff, but like I just wonder what kind of magic they saw, like the Wizarding World saw, that made them think, oh my god, that's great magic.
Now that you mention that, that kind of makes me think that Ollivander might have known about at least a Horcrux.
How would you know about it though?
I don't know.
Ollivander
can't
knows a
think how
lot
he'd know.
more than he lets on.
But do you think
Voldemort
he would
did a
know
lot
about
of things.
Horcrux and not tell Dumbledore?
Ollivander kind of seems to me like the apple analogy that we were having before. Like, I feel like the Ministry came to Ollivander at some point and they're like, hey, we want to put like tracking chips in each of the wands so we know who's done magic and, you know, we can monitor everything. I feel like Ollivander would say no to that. I mean, he's dead, but I feel like he'd say no to that, you know? He wouldn't want to do that. I feel like he's got like a little bit of a purity to him and almost like a keeper of secrets as well. Like, I feel like if people came and they were like asking him, I think Ollivander firmly believes in like privacy, the rights to privacy.
Yeah,
confidentiality.
He's like your local barber that you can spill your shit to.
Yeah, for sure.
And then,
so like he might know about Horcruxes or a Horcrux,
he's
but
not going to tell anybody about it. But
he is under
knows
lock and
about all
key,
of it.
which is interesting
Might
though
also
that he
know
does.
Legilimency.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, that'd be fascinating. It is interesting though that he does tell Harry about the twin core at this moment though, like because he's not completely closed off. But I think he almost like can't help himself.
Immediately told Dumbledore after this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep.
I'd be a secret keeper.
That is a fascinating point.
Oh, I do think he sent an owl off to Dumbledore right
Yeah.
after Harry got that wand.
Isn't that confirmed that he
sure.
did? Is that confirmed?
No.
He
I
did.
think so. At the end of
There,
4.
there's no mention of it. It's not. It's just my headcanon.
Yeah. I like that.
Dumbledore says he wrote him
Yeah.
to tell him that he got that wand.
All right.
I think if
Looks at
Voldemort
the-
didn't tell Bellatrix that he made a Horcrux, I don't think Ollivander knows
Yeah,
that he made
for
a
sure.
Horcrux.
Yeah.
Who?
Ollivander seems to just like know things though. So
I mean, he knows about the ancient magic, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Jen
Yeah.
has entered the chat.
Yes,
You just say ancient magic and Jen
Yeah.
just pops up.
I
out of
heard
nowhere.
it.